Good morning, everyone. My name is Todd Cochran, and you are listening or watching to the Saturday Morning Tech Show. And on top, we've got Andy McCaskey from RVNN, and on the bottom, we have Rob Greenlee from Zune. Everyone, good morning. How are you?
Good
Good.
morning.
Doing
Well,
fantastic.
it's noontime and it's about 80 some degrees, but that's pretty cool for you, huh?
It's about 75 or something. It's morning here, so no heat wave yet. And we've had weird weather. We had like horrible storms come through yesterday, and for June, that's unheard of. Everyone's just scratching their head here, saying, "Well, it's great. I don't have to water the lawn," but they had like 13 inches of rain on the other side of the island, so it's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's been really cool spring this year and lots of rain. This weekend is the first weekend that we're getting really above 70 degrees. So people are excited around here.
Yeah, it's odd. It really is. But Andy, you're out in Indiana, and Rob, you're of course up in Seattle. So, and I'm out here in
Yep.
Honolulu. But thanks for joining me this morning. I had a boy that alarm clock went off this morning. I was like, oh man, I'd like to hit that baby a few more times, but
Yeah.
there was no such happenings today. But Andy, what's been you've been gone a couple weeks. What's been going on?
oh, part of it on grandpa duty, which is not bad. We ended up, you always have these kind of kitchen table negotiations as far as family activities and time.
Right.
And as much as I would like to have joined you last week, it was not in the cards.
So you said we're going shopping, and or everyone else said we're going shopping, and you got the kid duty, right?
No, actually, what had happened is they had made some arrangements for a kind of a kid petting zoo type of thing,
Right.
way on out at past Shipshawana and in Topeka, if you know where Topeka is. And it turned out to be quite a nice little zoo area. And, not only the petting zoo thing, but they had a couple of tigers and a lion and some of the bigger zoo animals there as well. So it was a pretty fun time. Of course, the temperature was about 56 degrees, but that was a different problem.
Well, I do have to ask you a question, though. I don't know if you heard or not, but my mom got rear-ended about a week ago.
Oh,
Actually, hit pretty hard out your way. And is it a common practice for people to register? I think she registered 0.24 on the. Anyway, whoever hit her at 10 a.m. in
oh,
the morning was
whoa!
was three times the legal limit. So is it pretty common to be drinking a case of beer before 10 a.m. in the morning?
I don't know. Although I did have a neighbor one time who was trying to get some trees cleared from his yard.
Yeah.
And let me just tell you that keggers and chainsaws just don't go together well.
Well, it's she's okay. The vehicle's down in Fort Wayne getting worked on, but it's she told me she'd gotten hit and blah 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 and everything was pretty much okay, um and then she told me this lady's blood alcohol, and I was like, oh my god. So yeah, so pretty early in the morning. You used to say the insurance company's treading lightly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
actually, being early in the morning for you, I've got something here that Rob might recognize. I have
Oh,
to get it right up here.
what is
You
that?
see what that is, Rob?
It says
Uh,
Ivers or something.
From
Ivers. Yeah,
Ivers.
it's a matchbook, right?
Yeah, it's a matchbook. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this matchbook right here
Oh, you're gonna
and
actually
light
strike
a
one.
match. And what we need to do is sing happy birthday to Todd.
Oh no.
And so Terry sent this along, and so not only do we have you a virtual birthday cake or a real birthday cake and candles, got the party napkins and so forth. Didn't have any. We got at least one type of beverage, and,
Absolutely.
and so forth. So happy birthday, Todd.
Thank you so much. I normally keep that pretty classified. How'd you figure that out?
I don't know. it somehow got into my records here, and
Oh, that's funny.
so this is like spice cake with the panichi icing,
It
and
looks
and
good, and tell her she can mail me a piece of that. That looks pretty good.
well, what we'll do is we'll put it in the freezer, and the next time you come by here, you can have some of your cake. How's that?
That'll be like 1 year wedding cake. I'm sure that'll taste good.
So anyway, happy birthday.
All right, tell her I'll take a rain check, and the next time I'm out, I'll have a piece of her cake next time I'm out on a rain check.
Okay.
Just saying happy birthday.
Now see
to
if that
the
sets off a
birthday
smoke alarm.
No,
That'll be,
no.
we'll see.
I wondered what you're holding up those. I thought this has some restaurant or something that Rob knew. I was like, what the hell is the coincidence on this, Oh my
Well,
God.
that's a great place to eat and very famous landmark there in Seattle, and that's why I knew Rob would recognize the matchbook.
Exactly. That's an icon in Seattle, Iber's Seafood in Clam House. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Hey, Rob, I saw you were a big spender.
I was.
Yeah, you spent 54 cents to charge your Leaf at the Microsoft campus.
I did. For the first time, I was able to get all the pieces to pull together in my charging card account and all that stuff with a public charging station network, and I put.
How long did that take, Rob?
I only charged it for an hour. It was mostly charged. I just was wanting to try it out and top the car off. Essentially, I mean, it's the same kind of thing, right? I mean, it was mostly charged, and I just wanted to try it out, right? So I only had it on there for an hour, and that's what cost me 54 cents.
Hey, Rob, I have you a little overmodulated, but
Okay.
it might be just that you're just too close to the mic. So
Yep.
what do? They charge your initial hookup fee, then so much per kilowatt after that?
It's just a flat rate of 50 cents per hour
Oh.
to actually be connected and plugged into a 220 volt charger.
So what do you think it's actually going to cost you to charge that thing a month?
As far as my home charger, it's probably going to cost, well, I mean, most of the time I'm only doing a half charge because I only use about half the battery each day. So you're probably looking at, for an entire week of driving, I'm probably looking at maybe $5 or $6.
Gosh. Look at Sounds pretty convincing. Looking at my Visa card bill, we started doing carpooling as much as we could here. And my literally, and we charge everything so we get all the miles. I mean, if I buy a soda somewhere, it's on a credit card. And it sounds kind of ridiculous, but the my bill dropped $300 this month in my fuel bill. And that
It's a big change.
it's huge going just running one vehicle. So much happier to see much, but I'm glad gas is down. My God, we were at 4. We were right 11 cents away from $5. It was, whew,
Wow.
Wow.
Well, it's still expensive though. That's the
yeah,
thing.
it's still high. Yeah, but I'm not spending. Well, I think what was it, nearly $90 to fill the vehicle up. Now I'm back down to 75 or something like that. So, but still, yeah, still high. That's killing people. It really is.
Yeah, I
Rob,
haven't
can you
been to a
see
gas
any
pump in over 2
difference?
weeks.
Well, I guess you're in a climate where you don't really not running the air conditioner very much yet, huh?
Yeah, that's true. I think as we get closer to August.
We're getting big feedback.
Okay. Ooh, that was weird.
Yeah, and the noise just. Yeah, I don't know where we're getting the feedback. It's just like we're on speaker.
Well, it's
1,
not on
2,
my
1,
end.
2. It's really bad. I don't know if we're getting loop back from you or not, Andy.
I'm
Yes.
I'm not sure here. I'm not hearing any feedback at all.
Yeah, now it's better. It's just like the levels rose all of a sudden and came back down, like some auto gain kicked in. Go ahead, Rob.
Wow. I lost my train of thought there.
Oh, you were
Sorry.
asking Andy about the not running the AC.
Oh yeah, I think here in August there might be some days when I need to when we're up in the upper 80s or so, but it doesn't really hit the battery that hard. It probably knocks out 10 or 15 miles on my range on a charge, but that's about it.
Well, cool stuff. Let's talk about let's talk a little tech here. Let me go ahead and bring up my first article. Let's talk about the folks hitting Sony again. And is Sony like starting to become like the laughing stock of the security space? Can they take any more hits? Was Sony confirming that the group hacked them and got about 1 million other logins and passwords?
Yeah, this is a scary thing. It's like, are all of us vulnerable to this? I mean, have we done enough security on all of our networks to defend against this kind of stuff? And why was Sony targeted in this? That's the question.
Well, I think people kind of know why Sony was targeted. They've been brutalizing anyone that does any type of modding or anything like that, and yet people are saying that this is direct retribution for all the legal challenges that they have been putting upon individuals. And I don't know how much truth there is to it, but so Gizmodo. Let me bring this up and show you guys on the screen. Gizmodo has a little tool, and you can enter your email. And I'm going to go ahead and enter yours, Rob. I don't think people can actually see this. Well, I won't put it in here because I don't know. Well, you've publicly talked about your.
Oh yeah, it's out there.
So we're going to put Rob at Zune.net, and we'll do a check. Your information has not been released to the public. I'll put Andy's on here.
Yeah, I don't have any accounts with Sony, so.
Well, Andy, at least your Gmail's not been compromised. So it's pretty bad when you have to go to Gizmodo and not Sony to find out that your. Let me actually show you guys this. It's pretty bad that you have to go to Gizmodo and not Sony to find out if your account has been hacked. Shouldn't Sony be the ones that should be telling people or making this kind of a tool available?
Yeah, I would think. And I think it's also just kind of indicative. I just recently, say within the past year or so, have started using 1Password, a password manager, and generally tightening things up with a lot more robust passwords than I'd used in the past. But old habits die young, and I don't know if either of you guys were aware of the fact that I was giving away free iPads here a couple of weeks ago through a poor choice of passwords.
No, I didn't. So I actually, at least you weren't on travel in Europe somewhere needing some money.
That's true. Yeah.
That was the case with Angelo. He was in Spain the day he was supposed to be at work, and he emailed me and said he was in desperate needs. His family had been robbed, and he needed some money, and please help him immediately. So, I actually had that scam put on me in chat on Facebook one time. So somebody came up on chat and said, "Oh, Todd, I mean, I'm like, I haven't talked to you in 20 years. What's your telephone number at your hotel?" That's what I said to the guy. So let me call I want to call. I had Skype all up, and I played the guy for a while. But, yeah, it's pretty ridiculous that Sony has not, I guess they're giving their PlayStation Network people some protection from, credit monitoring and stuff, but you have to do a whole bunch of stuff to get that from them. And, but yeah, I'm as guilty as everyone else. For years, I used probably the same password combination, and now I've done like you, Dandy. I went to an application, and I think hopefully it never crashes, or I'll be doing a lot of password resets. But I'm the same way. I use I use a password about this long if you were to type it. And the only problem is when I have a machine that doesn't have that software loaded on, I'm like, oh, that sucks. But yeah, it's a big deal, and I'm preaching to my audience to make sure that they watch what they're doing out there with their passwords at this point. But
yeah. On on a local basis, we've had an IT fellow who's been helping us out here, and one of the very first things he did was pulled up the Wi-Fi and said you need to suppress your SSID.
Oh,
He said there's no reason for you to be broadcasting the fact that you've got a Wi-Fi access point up. And I just wonder, do you guys still have named SSIDs on your routers,
I,
or have you gone ahead and taken them off?
I do. But the question is, I guess I've never really played with suppressing my SSID. And with
Yeah,
people, go ahead, Rob.
yeah, got I've got a name on mine, but it's not being broadcast. You have to know it to be able to
Oh,
find it.
Yeah, you still have to name it, but it's not available to someone who just turns on their laptop.
Yeah.
well,
Yeah, I
I
think
The one
it's
like I found there in DC was someone had named their access point my neighbor's Wi-Fi. So anytime you needed to log on, you just log on to my neighbor's Wi-Fi.
yeah, and most routers is just a checkbox that you just check. So it's pretty easy to turn the broadcast off.
the challenge I have here though is I have three Wi-Fi networks in the house because we have three networks, and sometimes I tell the kids you can only be on one or the other, and so it's easy for them and my wife just to pull down the name and make the change. If I was
Mhm.
to take not broadcast that and make them switch on the fly, they'd be like, I'd be running over there and helping them. Um, but I understand the risk with it. But they are encrypted, so but that can only go so far too.
Yeah.
Well, his theory was that it's kind of like going up and down the street rattling doorknobs to see if
Right.
the door is left open.
Yep. True.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
Well, word driving is what they call it. Yeah.
let's talk about syncing our phones. And there was a notice that came out on MacRumors.com that part of the WWDC announcements is that if you have a device, an Apple device, they're going to allow you to automatically download and sync your phone without having to be connected to your computer. So they're going to have some sort of syncing mechanism over the air, which is good. Finally, this is a long time coming, and so now I guess when you get a new Apple device, it won't even come with a cord, but they're going to do completely over the air syncing, and that sounds to me like a winner. Any
Hmm.
any comments? Have do you guys how do you guys sync every day? Do you guys actually plug your iPhone into iTunes and sync every day? And of course, Rob, I
Uh,
know you don't because you don't have one, but Andy?
no, I don't. I'll go for oh, geez, week or 10 days. It just depends. I end up charging every day, but that's because I've got an iPhone 1, so there's that battery is just right on the edge.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be good for content creators like you and I that are, people are going a week before they sync and they're not getting our new shows. So if they can sync over the air, I think what we're going to see then is more take up of our content, which is
Hmm.
good. And at least it's on the device when they go looking. So I'm excited to see them make this jump.
Yeah. The same thing is happening with Windows Phone Mango. It's going to sync over Wi-Fi. So here coming in the fall. So
Hmm.
and that includes podcasts too.
Now that's good.
So yeah.
Say,
So
Rob,
my
I
full
wanted
podcast
to ask.
catalog is going to be
Uh,
on the
Hey,
phone.
Andy, you're stepping all over Rob. Go
That's
ahead,
okay.
Andy. Rob, what were you saying,
sorry.
Rob?
Yeah, I was just saying that the full podcast catalog is going to be available right on the phone. So, you know, the catalog that I've been building at Zune for the last 4 years or so is it's all going to be accessible. You won't have to plug it into a PC into the Zune software anymore.
That's gonna be great. Are you going to be able to dynamically control what's on the featured screen and all that? Are you going to be able
Yeah.
to make changes?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. It's all the same kind of software features that I've been doing in the Zune software today will be all available on the phone.
Somehow, Rob, I think you're going to have a lot more friends. I think you're going to get a lot more invites to events and
Yeah,
because you have
I
the
hope
power.
so.
You have the switch power.
That's right. The power of feature.
Yeah. What were you going to say to Rob, Andy?
I was going to ask Rob a little bit about how Zune now is fitting in with the Xbox. I think it was a Streaming Media Magazine had one of these summary charts of the number of devices that were out that that could accept streaming media. And I was astounded to see that there's something on the order of 50 million Xboxes around the world, and I know that there's a Zune relationship there, but I'm not sure exactly what that is.
Well, r- today, what's going on with that is that the whole Zune marketplace catalog for music, video, and that includes TV and movies, is all available on the Xbox platform today. So you can rent a movie, you can buy a TV show, you can buy music, all through the Xbox today. Currently, the podcast area is not available on Xbox today. Um, so, so that's kind of the current thing right now. There's, this whole three screens and a cloud strategy the company's been working on for years. It's been talked about for years. The company's still on the march for that, and that's kind of what you're seeing there is that the Xbox is the large screen, right? And then you have our PC desktops, which is the kind of smaller screen, and then you have the Windows Phone as the smallest screen. So,
Hmm.
and hopefully here as we roll into the next phase of Windows, there's going to be another, tablet type devices that will have all that functionality on it as well. So that's the kind of the 30,000-foot view of the strategy that's being gone after, and Zune will be on all those screens.
Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
one thing that at least in this household, whenever my wife sees the Xbox light on, she equates that to games. So I think for her, she sees the Roku or she sees the Boxy device, and for her, those are safe boxes. And if the kids have the remote control from those devices, that usually means they're consuming content, not gaming. And at least in my household, I've had the, you know, she's a little intimidated by that Xbox controller. So I think in my home, at least, of course the kids aren't, but in my house at least, I would see that I don't think my wife would ever use the Xbox to navigate for media, just because I think there is a perception and also, or kind of that controller's a little bit, for a better word,
Well,
it's intimidating. So,
it's geared towards gaming, right?
right, right, right.
Yeah. So I'm not, who knows what's going to happen in the future with that? I mean, I think that the perception is that the Xbox is kind of the home kind of place to go to get all of your entertainment on your TV. So
Maybe a
hopefully
new
over
remote
time
control.
that that experience will be improved. But there's nothing that I can say here about any of that. But
Okay. Well, maybe I'm onto something. Maybe a new remote control is in order, but
I don't know about that. But yeah.
well, if you think it, it obviously would make a big difference here. Now, Annie, would your wife be inclined to use the Xbox as a media consumption device?
I think that would be pretty improbable. We're certainly enjoying the Roku and Apple TV and Boxy. We kind of alternate between the three,
But
but it's basically looking at um, looking for movies basically or video podcasts are what we use those for. But then she toggles back on HDMI one, which is where the DirecTV DVR sits.
Yeah,
So
the battle for HDMI one.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. And other than when tornadoes are in the area, the TV part, just over the air part, just doesn't get used.
So do you think I can see though where people that have grown up with Xbox, probably the folks that are 40 and under, maybe 35 and under, I think they would feel, they'd have a completely different conversation here. They say, oh yeah, that's the way to go. That's the way to have content and movies. And I fully foresee that's it's part of it's a generational thing, but that's why there's so many different devices. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've got the big discussion amongst my kids is the cord cutter conversation, and I guess you qualify as one, huh?
Yeah, I did. I cut the cord, and it's been painful at times because there was like we're getting this bad weather, and she wanted to see what was going on a specific channel, and there was no channel because the cable been cut, and we had to rely on the local over the air, which wasn't given any coverage, and she ran to the internet and was able to figure out what was going on via weather.com. But it's that's one, and I'm getting the look, like over here, like, you cut the cable on me and I can't do this. And there's certain things that has been, we've had some discussions about. So, we're trying to make it a year without cable, but, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of things that you give up when you cut the cable, and it's not as easy to find content. And I think that's the opportunity if you look into the future of platforms, that want to appeal to this market and to offer the best of all these worlds, right?
Yep. And I think
So
I've actually got an article linked here, I think later, where we're going to talk, may as well talk about it now, that it appears that Microsoft is close to offering television programming for a fee over the Xbox, where you're actually going to have a television lineup. I saw something on that yesterday. Maybe I didn't link to it, but that if that's the case, and I probably still won't be able to buy a la carte, but if I can buy my programming a la carte and get just those programs I want without having to pick up all the other crap that I don't need, I might be, so Xbox Live Diamond subscription service to debut at E3. So this is what they're saying. Software giant is close to finishing a key number of components for its full Xbox Live subscription TV service. Sources familiar with Microsoft plans revealed to Win rumors that the company is writing a demo for E3. The company is on lockdown for its big announcement, and some demos and details might be held back if agreements are not in place. So apparently Microsoft is in last-minute negotiations to secure the necessary agreements in time, and Apple is in a similar position as well. So Microsoft Xbox Live Diamond TV service has been rumored for months. Code name Orapa or something like that. So, I know you can't comment on that, Rob, but Andy, what do you think about, getting your TV subscription through Xbox?
It is amazing how much stuff there is, and with when we had TiVo, and even on earlier editions of DirecTV, it was pretty easy to set up a private playlist and program out the channels. And it seems like each rev of the hardware that we get, it's harder and harder, more and more obscure, and where you're just kind of forced to chug through and get to the channels that we watch. So what we tend to do is we tend not even to channel surf. We tend to search by program that we become aware of, record those programs, and then time shift them. It's seldom we're watching anything real time.
So I guess I don't know if this is someone's iteration, but this is it looks like Second Life with with a screen going on here. So I guess this is someone's conceptual idea of a interactive TV thing. And I'll be honest with you, after Amazon reduced the Logitech Google TV down to $179, I went out and bought it. And I am going to tell you, I'm here to straight up and say that Google missed it on the first go round. But I think if they have learned the lessons I think they have learned, and when they roll the next rev of Google TV, I think they are going to be an absolute force to be reckoned with. I think that even in its, how we should say it, really not ready for primetime state, because it's really not. There's a lot of stuff hokey going on with the Google TV platform with playing with it. If they tie that back to Android and do what I think they're going to do, I think that is going to, I think it's going to give everyone a significant run for their money. Now, one thing I'll say about that Logitech Google TV, it is just a little bit underpowered. It needs about 25% more horses under the hood to really make it feel more smooth. For us, the keyboard, everyone complained about the keyboard. We actually didn't have an issue with the keyboard. And we actually brought some stuff up on websites. We were playing video on websites. We were, because again, we're spending a lot more time doing the interactive stuff because we don't have cable no more. And so, really there's one button on there that doesn't even work. It puts you back to the regular TV signal, and I get, my 14 or 15 local HD channels that are over the air. But it's an interesting device, and to be able to surf. And I never thought my wife would surf the internet, but she says, "Give me that," and I said, "How do I put in a web address?" And I showed her how to do it. So that's cool, and typed in a web address. And so we were talking about something she had seen. So it actually was and I had the kids in the living room, so it was actually a conversation point. And what she had brought up was a story that she had seen on one of the major news stations talking about sexting. And so it would end up being this family discussion around the big screen TV. And I thought, oh, this is an interesting dynamic. I kind of let it play out, And so I think the dynamics of how, I'm really kind of letting everyone hear when my son says, "Can I see that, Dad?" Fathers normally control the remote control. And I said, "Here, go ahead," and I let him rock and roll with it for a while to see what he's going to do and how they use the devices. And my kid's perception of television is going to be one heck of a lot different than what already is as compared to what mine was when I was a kid. Mine was 8 channels and a rotary antenna to try to find the signal. That was what I grew up with. But do you think it, I think it's an interesting dynamic. I really do.
Yeah, I think it is a generational thing. I think I grew up with a limited number of stations to tune into, and I think in reality most of us only follow a certain number of shows and a certain number of networks and that kind of stuff. And I'm also thinking that networks are becoming less and less relevant too. I think it's just all about the shows now.
Well,
I think I think you look in the long run. I think the challenge is going to be kind of exposing people to new content. I think that's the challenge, and I think that's where curation comes into play. And I think it's going to be even more important moving forward.
Well, we're into this mode of content overload already, and it's on you're already dealing with 1,000 channels on your regular cable stuff. 1,000 channels of about 950 of them are junk, and then you're dealing with literally tens of thousands of content channels that are on the net. That's like we've got what we got going on here and other types of content, and probably 95% of those are junk too. So I think what you're going to find is, you're right, Rob. I think curation, the person that can figure that out, is really going to have a handle on things. Now, Andy, you're a prime example here. You're building a digital network with RVNN, and how do you feel that's going from a digital perspective?
Well, it's really interesting as we were going through our discussions here about our initial impressions of television. We had one station that was 40 miles away, and then the other stations were coming in from well over 100 miles away. And with turning the antenna and all that sort of stuff. Um, and so over the years, I have a mental model of what television is, and its relationships. And one of the things that we really struggle with is, yes, we're TV, but it's not the TV that you grew up with. And it's different, but we're trying to figure out how it's different in the relationship to the audience and the amount of interactivity, the whole set of standards that we have had in our mental model of half-hour segments and or half-hour programs and 7-minute segments and so many minutes for ads, and all this traditional structure isn't here in this medium. And so are there valid 4-minute shows? Are there valid hour-and-a-half shows? And if so, how should they be segmented? It's as much of a mental exercise as it is the technical challenges of getting things produced and distributed.
But you guys have been doing RVNN now. Your programming's been up for about 6 months. How is your audience that may not have been consuming this type of content? How's their adoption so far?
Some of them really get the interactive nature of it and are enthusiastic and participating. Other potential customers we talk to, we say, well, we have content that's focused in this niche area. And they say, oh, wow, what we want is something just like Dog the Bounty Hunter. We want this high action sequence coming in, and we want to have this and have our product featured in a certain way. And so it's like their mental image of what television is or isn't is also something that we have to kind of work with.
That's kind of interesting because, they are many of these companies are used to going out and spending $250,000 on a high-end advertisement that runs in a 30-second spot on a television show, and they pay huge money for that. But, yet they fail to realize that, all right, you're doing a network on RVs. The only people watching are people that are buying and own RVs or considering to buy RVs, and yet they want this high production. That's what people don't want to see. That they want to see what's real. They want to see how their life fits into that, and it doesn't have to be this high-end Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Well, one of the fellows that our creative director has been in this business for 30 some years, and he's doing marketing pieces and so forth. And he said, in all the years, he never had a marketing campaign for a unit that had countertops in the kitchen. They always had luxurious countertops and spacious cabinets. And it was this whole language that you had, and that carried over into the advertising where the curtains would go back and there's waves breaking on the beach, and it's just at sunset, and the camera pulls back and the wine glasses are there, and this is the experience. I mean, they don't mention you had to get there 4 days early to get that parking spot, and there's some kid with a dirt bike, up and down outside the window, and so the reality of it's a little bit different. But it was like so Hollywood and so highly produced that people are just it can't be that perfect, and that's what we're trying to appeal to, is to ask people to say, you're going to have your high points and your low points, but it's all good if you got the right attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, and Mindy is our new sales manager at Raw Voice, and she's been tearing the phones up and talking with a lot of people. And I'm starting to get this interesting feedback. Because we're talking to a huge number of clients now, and, many, many, many clients. And the perception on content, and, everyone always wants. Here's the thing I'm always hearing. well, what are your top 10 shows? And well, I just want to advertise in the top 10 shows. I'm like, the top 10 shows are booked for the next year. You're not getting in the top 10 shows. You can't. They're advertising sold for the next year. And they kind of look at you, how is that possible? Because everyone wants to be in the top 10 shows. Yet they are so focused on just being on the top that they continue. I can say, listen, your audiences, while there is a percentage of those that are down there in those top shows, I said, that it is this number here. I have this number of shows that is reaching, this amount of an audience across those other smaller shows. But everyone wants to cherry pick the big shows. Oh, we got to be in the biggest shows, And that is, to us, is the thing that we keep we're pounding our forehead saying, listen, you got to understand that I don't want to call them micro audiences. Let's call them macro audiences, for a better word. But they think that success has to be huge numbers. You gotta reach 5 million, or you gotta reach 10 million. But yet, if they're reaching those 10 million, they're only reaching 5,000 of the people they really want to reach.
Yeah.
And so when you tell them you're going to reach those 5,000 people right there, those are the people. They still think they have to reach 5 million because, in their mind, they've got it made up that they've got it in the thought process is, well, I'm really reaching 5 million. And all 5 million of those are going to have a chance to react. Where really, who's going to react to the 5,000 or percentage of the 5,000?
Yeah, I agree with you, Todd. It should be more about targeting to an audience that's going to be warm to your service your product.
They don't think that way. They really don't. And the buyers don't. Because what the buyers have been used to buying is volume.
It's based on CPM.
All right. We can deliver you 100 million views over the next month, and we'll give you a heck of a deal on that. And so they're used to buying these big volume buys. So when you come back and say, okay, this is going to come at a premium, but you're going to reach the people that you want. This is, the CPM you're going to pay is 6 or 7 or 8 times higher than what you would pay to reach those, to reach those 5 million. But we're going to reach the 5,000 you really wanted to reach, or the 10,000 or whatever. You can't, you almost want to tell them, oh yeah, we'll reach the 5 million that you want to reach, but you can't lie to them. But that's what they want to hear. That's really what they want to hear.
Yeah, it's more the shotgun approach than the targeted approach.
Yeah. So advertisers, at least a digital advertiser, if they're saying they're targeting at this point, they're not really targeting. They're not. They're still shotgun approaching.
That brings me to a really interesting article that I just read this morning in TechCrunch, talking about the notion that Facebook, if they played their cards right, could actually put Google out of business. Their point was that Google is looking backwards at the static web as far as what relationships were yesterday or the last time the spider crawled. Whereas Facebook knows the names of the individuals and their friends and their relationships of what's going on right now, and that they can deliver based on today's reality as opposed to historical backwards information.
Yeah.
Interesting. But I don't know. Facebook, to me, there's a lot of clutter in Facebook. And, I find myself scrolling and scrolling and scrolling to find there's a lot of Twitter-esque type of conversations going on in Facebook at this point. There's some good conversations, but I think I see the quality of the conversation degrading. It's just like, this is how I kind of attribute it to. Andy, if you and I got together, and Rob, if the three of us got together every day and drank beer every day together, pretty soon we would just drink beer.
I can afford that.
Okay, but we would pretty soon we would just drink beer, right? we wouldn't have too much to say to each other. Now, once a week, if we get together once a week and have a beer, we have a few beers and talk about what's been going on and da 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 da, then you're on your way. But if people are spending so much time on Facebook, they're having conversations, and at some point, the conversation, I'm not saying the conversation is going to get stale, but I think this is what I'm at least seeing in Facebook is I was all excited. I had a great conversation with classmates and what are you doing? Da, 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 da. And then how deep do I really want to get in their lives unless something major goes on? So that means you continue to have to follow more and more and more people to have an engaged discussion on Facebook. I just don't. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that has this perspective, but
I'm not so sure that advertising on Facebook makes a lot of sense sometimes.
I've never seen an ad on Facebook. Matter of fact, have I ever clicked an ad?
Yeah. Well, I don't click on ads even on public websites either.
Right,
but
right.
I think that's a much bigger issue. But it feels like Facebook is like a private communications model. I mean, I tend to use it more as much as I can kind of a public area. I kind of don't lock down my area for outside people to not get into and see. So I kind of approach it as a little bit like a blog somewhat is how I approach mine. But I also know that a lot of people, use Facebook as more of a private thing where they've got it locked down to just a relatively small group of friends. And I don't think that kind of environment, as more and more people maybe do that, I don't think that's a very conducive environment for advertising or commercial activity because people don't want to be snooped on, and really in order to target advertising to those people, they're going to have to be snooped on, and I'm not sure that that's something that people are really going to want to participate in. I mean, I think Facebook is walking this fine line on privacy versus the potential of advertising revenue, and I'm not so sure that that model can be solved. I mean, it just I'm going to throw this question out. Do you guys think that eventually we're going to have to pay to be able to use Facebook? Like a monthly charge or something like that, if this ad model doesn't work?
Nope. They've already went down that road. The genie's out of the bottle.
Really?
I just
So
don't.
you don't think that they can go back and create a premium experience?
I think people are already doing a premium experience by playing Angry Birds and all these games that are sucking the brain cells out of people. But I don't know, Andy. What do you think?
Yeah, time suck comes to mind. That's what my kids call Angry Birds, or Farmville, or any of those sorts of games. I don't know. And again, I'm going back just to a presentation of Blog World last fall, where they were talking about for certain types of products, particularly those that are geographic or venue based. Apparently, the advertising through Facebook can be very, very effective. If you are looking for 19 through 25-year-old males that are within a 15-mile radius of a certain bar, nightclub sort of thing, apparently they have that degree of granularity.
Well, yeah, I think if you do think about like Groupon being available through Facebook, I can see that working. I know my wife is very very much plugged into Groupon and Living Social, and she's constantly buying deals, through the service. So I mean, it feels like that industry is going to continue to do well. These discount offers that you can buy in at half the cost or something like that. And I mean, it's like the old coupon days. When we used to get a coupon in the mail, or a packet of coupons. It's the same kind of thing, but it seems like it's catching on in a this whole Groupon thing is catching on, really in a way that really could transform kind of the ad model. It's more of a action oriented. And I know that more and more advertisers are thinking like sponsored links have been for many years, that that Google and others pioneered, is that the advertiser only pays for click action, right? Or they pay on at the point of transaction. And I think that may be the model for the future, is that the the advertiser only pays when there's a transaction. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I think that when that happens, the challenge is that the risk is being assumed. The risk to run the advertising is then on the content creator, and that model doesn't fly too well.
Yeah.
Because really the advertiser then has no risk
Hmm.
whatsoever. In any advertising campaign, there is a element of risk, and there's some
Yeah.
trading back and forth. The performance that an advertiser wants and what he gets are usually two different things, but they have to decide whether or not the dollar spent really, really equated into what they wanted to get. So I guess I don't know. I don't know about the model on that. I look at Groupon. Here's the funny thing about Groupon. Maybe here in Hawaii they just don't have their ducks in a row. But my wife has been watching Groupon offers. She's signed up for them. She's big time trying to save money, because it's expensive here. We have yet to execute a Groupon deal. Either not enough people sign up for it. I don't know exactly how the model completely works 'cause I haven't played with it. But anything she signs up for, she ends up coming, we didn't get the deal. And
Hmm.
so maybe there's just not enough volume here to make the difference. So for us, Groupon's been a waste of time, at least in Honolulu.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
We
it.
have not
I
used
mean,
it directly. Our producer here in the office is all about it, and she's been very successful in finding particular deals. So I think it's variable as far as the type of service that a consumer maybe would look for. And there's also been some discussion that it's a very high cost of sales for certain types of businesses. If you have a restaurant, for example, and instead of a $60 a plate kind of high end dinner that you can get for $25, first of all, they have to make it's a fairly high margin business to begin with. And then secondly, if the atmosphere is such they can sell a couple of drinks at the same time, which are higher margins, then that begins to make sense. But if it's some sort of a consumer good or hard good where there's not a lot of margin in there to begin with, they're first of all could very easily get below their costs, and then secondly, then they've got a high cost to get an additional customer.
And where they hope
yeah.
you is spend more money. They hope you get the end of the aisle stuff that always is the thing that sucks you in. And don't ever buy anything that's on the end of an aisle. Or be very careful if you do. But it's true though, Andy. You look at in what's developed here is you have the Walmarts of the world, which have cut margins to the point of they're dealing with volume, so they don't care if they have a 3 or 4% margin on a product. And for a guy that's got the Joe Hardware store, he can't survive on 3 or 4% margins. It just doesn't work. You can't even pay electricity bill on that. So um, yeah, but I understand what you're saying about restaurants and bars and that kind of stuff with the margins on alcohol and drinks.
But if you look at who's actually running uh, Groupon campaigns, at least here in the Seattle area, it's mostly smaller companies, or smaller retailers or smaller restaurants. You very rarely see big chains of restaurants or large corporations running coupon or Groupon campaigns. It's usually smaller mom and pop type of companies today.
Yeah, isn't it mostly the restaurants, hairdressers,
Yeah,
those types of folks, right? Or boutique type shops.
exactly. Yeah.
Huh.
So for some reason, the larger retailers, whether it be Walmart or whether it be, a large grocery store chain, hasn't gotten latched into this thing yet, and I'm not quite sure what's keeping them out of it.
Well, they have their own
And
national sales teams.
yeah, that's probably what it is. You're right. And
Yeah.
they probably have their own ad strategies that doesn't include sharing revenue like that.
Yep. Hey, let's
So,
switch gears here a little bit. Let's talk about Anonymous. Of course, we're talking about the hacking group Anonymous. And of course, they have been out there. Finally, they've changed their targeting away from the U.S. government. Now they're focused on the Iranian government. And they have, in my slight, because it's interesting how my opinion changes. Anonymous steals 10,000 Iranian government emails, plans denial of service attack. And this is one of those things. I'm like, oh, good for them. And it's kind of funny how your perception of a group changes when depending on who they're targeting. And so, anyway, apparently they've got control of the ministry, one of their Ministry of Foreign Affairs mail servers. And they're sending out. They're gonna publish these 10,000 Iranian government. I tell you what, you think about something public like that coming out and getting the insight on the mindset of what's actually happened inside Iran and the government could be pretty damaging. Yeah, I think it's gonna be almost more damaging than what probably happened in the U.S. But interesting development. Any comments on the group Anonymous?
Well, as you point out, it's whose ox is being gored, I think is the phrase.
Oh, it's funny. It's a matter like, oh, that's interesting. And then, if the shoe was on the other foot, it was us to be like, oh, why are they doing that? They're not, it is different how you see the different perceptions. Hey, we talked about Facebook for a little bit, but have you guys read their latest in the battle against this guy named Paul Sigula, the guy that's suing? Of course, he says he owns 50% of Facebook. And I was reading through an article around paidcontent.org, and basically they were talking about everything that Facebook was doing. And all I can say is, I think I was reading here that like 11 investigators and, a dozen legal counsel. I mean, just a huge number of people that were working this case against this guy. And, first of all, the first comment is, I would not want the legal arm of Facebook digging underneath my covers. And second, that's like almost like running for president. This is a type of, exposure this guy's getting. And number two, they went back to the Harvard email servers, and they pulled Mark Zuckerberg's emails off of there, the originals, and they portray a different story than what this guy has been portraying all the way up to this point. Matter of fact, the emails that the guy said he sent and he's produced as evidence are not matching what came off the Harvard servers. So this guy, I think, is probably going to get squashed. But Facebook has come out, with multiple double-barrel shotguns. So any comments on the I was wondering though, with Zuckerberg having the issues he had before with those other guys, and then this guy, I thought this could be plausible. It sounds, those twins got paid off, and any thoughts?
Yeah, but they came back for another. They came back for another serving. That was the problem.
Yeah, and the serving got denied, I think.
Yeah, I think their second trip to the well wasn't quite as successful as the first. I think they only got like $60 million the first time.
Oh, only that's
that's not bad. They're not really having to build anything. I think they came out all right.
Someone can steal Raw Voice's model and pay me $60 million for the idea. That's In all honesty, someone did use the raw voice model, and they have a business that competes against it. So it's kind of funny.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. That's another story for offline. Yeah, and a certain competitor told me I built my business based on everything you said. I was like, that's what I get for talking.
Be careful what you say,
That's
bud.
right. I guess I'm just too open. Hey, let's talk about this Gmail hack and the China-based hackers who broke into Google's Gmail accounts. Now, one of our writers at Geek News Central had basically this thing was like, are you too stupid yet to fall for these, these social engineerings? And they focused on people that worked at the White House were among those that were targeted. Imagine that. And the administration saying no official messages were compromised, but we've never sent personal or private or work related emails via our personal accounts. None of us have ever never done that. So so the question here is, are people that stupid yet that they're falling for these phishing attacks, and or is there something more sinister here? That's what they're saying. My contention is at this point is that people have gotten pretty educated, and you would think the people that worked at the White House and people that worked, they would have been briefed on security. They would know not to respond to these type of things. Is this a case, or did something else happen? And no one's really saying, but they did say it was from social engineering and phishing is how they got the passwords. Seems a little funny to me.
Slow news day.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. I think that a lot of times when there is a slow news day, that people are under pressure to come up with some unique slant on a story, and where phishing is not that all unusual. I guess the fact that this phishing attack apparently successfully targeted some higher visibility people. But it's kind of like man bites dog. You take a story, and if you can get a spin on it, and it's a slow news day, then you've got something that's breaking. And you needed something, because the Wiener story just kept stretching, so to speak.
Okay, yeah. I didn't see the picture, but I heard it wasn't all that.
Yeah. Todd, are you saying that it wasn't impressive? Is that what you're saying?
I did not see the picture, but I heard it wasn't impressive. If you're gonna send a picture, if you're his age, what is he, 40? If you're gonna send a 20-year-old a picture like that, you better have, let's say, for if it's like driving okay, you want to catch a 20-year-old, you got to have the sports car convertible. You got to look like you're going through a midlife crisis. You got to look like you have a nice roll of money in your pocket. That's one way. The other way is, to have a, how should we say it? No, I'm not gonna say it. I'll be quiet. I already went too far down the pipe here. So
Yeah, what's really funny about that is that he's not really denying that that picture was sent. It's just, you know, you can use like Photoshop to stretch a picture, kind of pull a particular part of a picture.
well,
One
here's the thing.
direction.
Here's the thing. If you're gonna know, first of all, who takes a picture. That picture that would be one that Andy, if you were have standing in your tidy whities and you took a picture of your tidy whities, and then 5 years from now, that tidy whitey picture shows up with someone, and you saw that picture, would you know that that was you in the tidy whities? Even 5 years from now.
That's
No.
telling me that there's that somebody has some other photographs, and that that could have been just like, oh, that's patently ridiculous. Never had a picture like that. No challenge.
My point is,
Uh,
if I'm going to take a
but
picture of myself,
if there's other photographs that somebody's holding, then it's a different story. And I think that's what's going on.
No, I think my point was is he didn't deny that it wasn't him, but he didn't say it.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: if my point is, I'm gonna know if I see a picture, I'm like, yeah, that was me, or no, it wasn't. I could, within seconds of seeing a picture, I can, if even
Yeah.
if I stood up today on this show and took a picture of me in my tidy whities, okay, let's just don't visualize that, all right,
I'm
and
trying not to.
okay, so let's say we put that picture away. We put that picture away in a archive somewhere. In 5 years or 10 years from now, because that's a very unique picture to take. It's not one that you take every day, right? So 10 years from now, if you take that, someone gets that picture and twitters it to someone, and it comes up and they say, "Todd, was that you in your tidy whities?" Yes, it was, and you'll know it even 10 years later because no one no one takes a picture of themselves in their drawers. Guys just don't do that, you
No.
know? And so for him to not be able to say, no, it wasn't me, it was like, oh, yeah, that was you, dude. You know it's you. You're toast. Now, how do you explain that to your wife? Why were you, honey, why were you taking, why, you know, first of all, if he didn't send it, let's say he didn't send it and someone got those pictures. How do you explain that to your wife? You can't. There's
Yeah.
no there's no lie in the world that a guy could use to get out of that one. So
Yeah, it's probably more common that a picture like that would be taken without the tidy whities on. I'd be
maybe, yeah.
yeah.
But it would probably be more of a video than a picture. I know
Uh,
people just don't. Who takes pictures of their junk? No one does that.
it's like chat roulette, right?
No, no, but you just don't have that in a picture. It's maybe
Yeah.
it's and a
Right.
senator.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
A would-be
Oh,
senator, I
a
think,
would be,
is the
yeah,
phrase.
yeah.
and
But
digress.
again, the combination of a fairly slow news week and a story like that, we
Oh
got what
yeah,
we deserved here for the past 7 days.
that's true. Well, we digress completely here on the show. Hey, let's talk about Amazon and let's talk about other online. There's a proposal, and this is not one of those emails that go around every 6 months saying that we're gonna have to start paying internet sales tax. But Senator Majority Whip Dick Durbin, Democrat of Illinois, says he plans to introduce a bill called the Main Street Fairness Act, mandating that all businesses collect the sales tax in the state where the consumer resides on all purchases, digital or traditional.
Mm-hmm.
So, the way these states are hurting for money and
Mhm.
the way everyone has got this money grab, um, I think that the days of not paying sales tax on digital purchases, I cannot see this not getting. Well, maybe the Republicans will shut it down. I don't know, but if it's here, this is I would actually almost expect this. Well, maybe not. Do you think this has a chance?
Yeah, I think eventually you're going to have to pay sales tax on it. It's just been a matter of time. I mean, I've been, on my years and years of doing my talk show. We talked about this topic for years, and the Senate and Congress was always every year they were pushing off passing a bill that would require paying a sales tax on online purchases. And for years and years, it was all about making sure that the innovation on the internet wasn't stifled and all this kind of stuff. In some future-looking time when the, the whole market would be mature and that would make sense for all the states to get paid their sales tax due. And I think we're getting to a point where the online purchases is so large and is really taking away from purchases on a local basis in a significant way that it's just a matter of time. I mean, if it doesn't happen this year, it'll happen next year. If it doesn't happen next year, it's going to happen. That's just my comment.
Andy?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. The It is such an attractive pot of money that
Yeah.
state houses around the country are chewing away trying to figure out how to get at it, and it's like the termites will eventually break through the wall.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good
That's a
analogy, Andy.
that's
I
that's a
like
good that's a good one. That's a nice. I like that analogy as well. Let me. I'm getting to my Blueberry account. Let me go over there, and I'm running a survey right now, and I want to, just kind of bring some context to this. Let's see if I can bring up my results. I can download the spreadsheet here, and I've got a question asked in there. What is the, how much do they spend online? And here's the breakdown. Well, I'm getting feedback again. Andy, I think it's coming.
Yeah, I think it's Andy.
I'm just looking. I happen to have printed mine out here.
So here's the breakdown, and I'm gonna have to. I don't have the percentage in front of me. I could run this on a graph real quick. Let me do that. I'll graph it and see what we can get here. Let me go to formulas, page layout. No, I'm gonna do this one. Let me do a column chart. Okay. All right. If I break this down into percentages, wow, this is pretty remarkable in the numbers here. The number of people that spent $1 to $99 online was less than 3%. The people that spent from $100 to $499 was again less than 3%. The folks that spent $500 to $999 that have responded have spent was less than 10%. People that spent $1,000 to $4,999 was a little over 50%, with the remainder going to $5,000 and above. So what I've got is those that have spent online more than $5,000 outweighs the combined number of people that spent nothing or up to $500. So that's remarkable to me. That's a remarkable number, that the number of people that have spent more than $5,000 online in the past 12 months is more than the folks that answered none, 1 to 99, or 100 to $499. So that, obviously I have a very technical audience, and I'm looking here at the breaking down of the wage earning groups, and the wage earners in my audience is, if you look at, what do they consider the national income average to be? About $45,000 or something like that. Is that the national?
Right.
Per year? So yeah, everyone is pretty much well over the median on wage earners. So I'm sure that has something to do with it as well for disposable income. But it's pretty remarkable when you look at that number, and it just so that percentage of people spent that much money online, that was no sales tax collected on probably any of that.
Mm-hmm.
So how can, at this point, I just can't see it being too tempting of a target. If I just look at the numbers here on the people that responded to and just do the math real quick, there's probably, based on the number of people that responded, there's probably $50,000 in sales tax that was never collected just from my audience on the purchases they've made. So how does your stuff break out, Andy?
Yeah, I was just looking at that. The majority that I have is in that $1,000 to $1,000 to $5,000 range.
Yeah, that's where my majority was.
Very low in less than 500.
So, and these numbers have shifted. This is since I did my last big survey like this, and I have about. Let me do the. Where's the totals at? Let me bring this back up to the top. He doesn't give me a total. Oh, completed surveys is a little over 4,200. So I have a little over 4,200 responses on the survey so far. So a pretty big sampling. and I need trying to get about 5,000 more, but that's kind of curious. It really is on the amount of money people are spending online. So I don't know. With the way the economy is, I hope they don't because it saves me a lot of money.
Yeah.
Annie, are you surprised at any of your numbers in your survey?
Yeah, I really initially I was surprised, but then when you think about it, I'm less surprised because I just know that our family consumption and to avoid having to drive. I mean, if you look at if you drive to over to the outlet mall at Angola, or if you drive to Michigan City, or if you know all these places are within an hour, little certainly an hour and a half's drive. But you know, time and fuel and so forth versus the savings, quote unquote, that you might get there are pretty minimal. Or I mean, you know, it's just so much more convenient to order online.
And I think
Yeah.
that's, for me, it's just availability of product. And of course, like
Mm-hmm.
Rob, you live in in a major metropolitan area. How far are
Yeah.
you? Your shopping districts are probably a lot closer, though. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't buy a lot of stuff online actually. I mean, I'm probably it gets back to the selection thing. I think is really, if there's a very specialized thing that I need, the first place I look is online. But if it's day-to-day stuff, I don't buy it online.
Right. Yeah. Day to day stuff, I don't, but specialized stuff, I do.
Yeah.
Just because it's cheaper. It definitely is. Well,
Well, you can get specifically what you want too, and I think
right.
that's the power of the internet is the inventory, right? And the span of options and different brands and price comparisons and all that kind of stuff is what so large purchases I tend to look at online more, but the smaller kind of household stuff, obviously you don't get it there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk just a little bit about Bitcoin, and then I want to talk about some stuff I've seen just yesterday on Bitcoin that blew me away. Are you guys familiar with Bitcoin?
No, I'm
I
not
know
actually.
that it's an electronic currency, and to keep inflation at bay, there are only a certain number created, and that will remain fixed forever, right?
Well,
Hmm.
I don't know how they're doing it, but all I can say is you should have bought Bitcoins when they first started because you would be you virtual money. You could have been rich. There's been
Really?
at some point this thing's going to come under some scrutiny, but whoever thought this thing up is a genius. But the you can buy bitcoins, you can pay for virtual services. I'm here, people are doing it about all the time. You can, ultimately it goes back. There's a money trail, and you can get, you basically turn cash into bitcoins and you buy services, and then people are doing a lot of business with bitcoins. But over
Hmm.
on Gawker yesterday, and this is where I think Bitcoin may have some challenges, and this is where people are going to end up going to jail is, and again, it's not from Bitcoin itself, but what they're doing with Bitcoins. There's a new site. It's very hard to get to. You have to use some sort of a proxy server. And I'm not even going to say the name of the site on the show because I just don't feel comfortable enough doing that. People want to find it, they can. But this site is selling. Well, let me just bring up the picture of what they're selling, and you guys will get the idea real quick. So you see what they're selling, right? Okay.
Mm.
I can't.
They got a mail order business of all kinds of, how should I say it, substances.
Oh, oh, I see.
Okay.
Pharmaceutical. Yeah.
Yeah, well, non-pharmaceuticals for a better word.
Okay.
um, so this site is selling, they've got all kinds of different products, different types of names. It comes from different parts of the world. Everything from old school stuff that's on dots of paper to you name it, they're selling it. So illegal drugs is what we're talking about here. And what they're doing is they're using bitcoins to pay for the product, and people are shipping it. Now, get this guy that talks about this and I can't believe he actually wrote this article. 3 weeks ago, he ordered some stuff that would come on some paper. And actually, no, he got 10 tablets of something. And it was shipped via U.S. Postal Service. It was shipped from Canada and delivered to an American address. So in other words, first thing is they're now shipping illegal materials, drugs over, so you've got a federal crime going on here. And but the guy bought this through Bitcoin, and they even tell the sellers of this material how to pack it so it won't be detected by the sniffer machines and all this different stuff. But they think that there's no way that this can be tracked. Now, the folks over at Bitcoin have made a statement here that said a member of Bitcoin core development team said in an email that Bitcoin is not as anonymous as the users of this specific site would like to believe. He explains that because all Bitcoin transactions are recorded in a public log, though the identities of all the parties are anonymous. He says law enforcement could use sophisticated network analysis techniques to parse the transaction flow and track down individual Bitcoin users. So he goes on to say attempting major illicit transactions with Bitcoin, given existing statistical analysis techniques deployed in the field by law enforcement, is pretty beep dumb, he says. So, it's only a matter of time before this gets shut down. But I think it's pretty brazen. They've got a website. You just go on and, instead of calling your junkie, you order. You order, or your dealer, not your junkie. Calling your dealer, you just order whatever you want. And it's got the full list of, everything's on this list. So, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it is pretty amazing that that's going on.
I'm just like, first of all, someone's got to have a lot of guts to have set this up and run it, and then individuals have got to have been pretty brazen to do this, knowing that law enforcement has got to have been all over this. And so all they're going to do is they're going to set up buys. They'll set up buys and have stuff shipped in, and then they're going to go kick doors in.
I'm surprised it hasn't happened already, and this whole thing doesn't get shut down. I mean, how long has this been operational?
I don't know. Well, they got plenty of visibility on Gawker.com yesterday, and they even linked to. You can't get to it through a normal URL. You have to go through an anonymizer service or an anonymizing network called Tor. And basically you have to go through one of these, they basically do a redirect. So, it's only available through this one anonymizing network. So, they're trying to cover their tracks.
Okay.
But
but it's not smart to poke the DEA in the eye. And no matter what kind of returns you think you're going to get off of it, it's just not smart, because these guys got a lot of resources and a lot of time and a lot of patience.
Oh, it's like poking it's like standing, get pulled over by a police officer and rolling down your window and start cussing at him as soon as he walks up to your car. It's the same. You flip the guy the bird, and what do you think you're going to get? You're going to get as many tickets as he can write. So, it's the same.
He doesn't get you in the end, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Or he may assist you from your to exit your vehicle without bothering to open the door.
That's right. And
he just pull you right out the window, right?
Oh, but I wonder if the Bitcoin folks knew that people would be buying dope using Bitcoins. It just, it has a great purpose. You can do virtual, you get programmers, there's all that's who they kind of set it up for initially. And, but
it's gonna put a big stain on its image. That's for sure.
It would be interesting to go back and look at all of the micropayment initiatives that have people have tried over the past, say, 15 or 20 years. I was thinking of Beans, BEANZ was one of them there in the first bubble.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I
Yeah.
guess wow, Andy. Every time you, I don't know why we're. Those of you listening, I'm getting feedback. It's like we give. If we give Skype a second, it'll go away. There it goes. Now we're okay. I can tell the levels came down. You got that thing set on auto volume or something, Andy? I think so. That's what happens.
No.
That's weird.
And I hear no feedback at all here.
Yeah, we'll have to get you. We're gonna have to get you a headset that works. You know, to plug into that Mac. I know that's difficult for you Mac users.
Yeah.
I keep poking at it, but you know, you do look at what's sitting right here, right? You do see that there is a Mac sitting here, so you know I can't poke too hard.
I was gonna say, I'm glad you said it, Todd, not me.
All right.
Yeah. And then right beside, I've got a Windows 7 machine sitting right here to the left, right? So maybe I ought to fake you out one day here and just come up on that machine and let you continue to think it's the Mac.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about a new initiative. I'm going to. I don't know why I'm going to kill myself here, but I really want to start a new show, and it will be a show that will probably follow this show. It's going to be called The Chrome Show. And I've secured the domain, thechromeshow.com. And I got an early offer to buy the Samsung Chromebook, so I've got that ordered. And it should be in around on the 8th, I think. So what do you think? You think this show idea has a chance of taking off?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And trying to buy a different domain as well. I've got a huge bid in for it right now. It's the most I've ever bid on a domain, and have not heard a response back. So I'm hoping to get just a little better domain for the show. But at least I've got thechromeshow.com secured, and so we're going to do a show on Chrome. I think this is going to be big. Maybe I'm going to be wrong here, but if you look at the amount of plugins available for Chrome, and I think the ultimate tie-in back to Google TV, I think that's how going to ultimate make this. They're going to be kind of tied at the hip. I just think it's going to be big. Any thoughts on the? I don't know if we talked about Chrome OS with you or not, Andy. Did we?
We've had a very brief conversation. I know that that you were really jazzed when the Google Development Conference, you sent out a link and said you got to watch this keynote on Chrome, and which I did, and I think that you were really excited about some of the things, and you said you'd just taken notes throughout the whole presentation.
Well, I think what we're going to see is I don't think they're going to hit it out of the ballpark on version 1. I think this is something that's going to evolve. But, you know, Rob, you look at Microsoft's moving to the cloud, Apple's moving to the cloud. Everyone's trying to go to the cloud. And I'm not necessarily saying cloud's the best thing, because I love my desktops and I love my full-powered machines that can run full-powered applications. You know, so that in itself is, you know, is for me is it's going to be a new experience. But I look at everything we do at Raw Voice. I've told this many times. We use the cloud a lot. You know, even just, you know, correspondence and anything is we're usually put together in the cloud first. Now, I know that Microsoft is going to be announcing, I think I had it here. What was the date? End of June, I think. They're going to be bringing something live. What was it? Let me find it. Microsoft will launch Office 365 on June 28th. So, you know, I guess Microsoft is, you know, this live thing that Microsoft's doing. I don't know too much about this. I haven't been following it, but you know, everyone's going to the cloud, so we will see. Have you got a chance to see the Office 365 live at all, Rob?
No, I haven't played with it yet, but certainly when it launches, I'm going to poke around in it and see if it's good. I mean, from what I hear, it's pretty outstanding. So I think there's going to be some folks that are going to adopt that. So it's
Well, and
pretty powerful, I guess.
if I
Yeah.
can use it on the Chromebook, we'll see. But knowing maybe Google has it, so it won't
You should.
work.
I mean, if you think about it, I mean, that Chromebook is basically a a browser, right?
Yeah,
That's the whole basis of it. So you should be able to get to any online service through the Chromebook. So
a very expensive browser, $500 for
yeah,
just a browser.
yeah.
But I do get 100 megs free of wireless through Verizon, so
Hmm.
I do like that you
Okay,
could.
so you
Oh,
placed the order actually through Verizon then, rather than through Samsung?
No, I had tried to get a CR48 in the early days, and I was never on the list. So I think what
Hmm.
they did is they sent an email to everyone that was on the list, or select people that was on the list, because not everybody got an email and said, "Hey, here we've got a limited number of these available through a certain outlet. You can order them now." I clicked and ordered immediately. I called Angelo and I said, "Hey, go order one right now so that we have one in the office." He ordered one, and 5 minutes later, they were out. So they didn't
Wow.
have many.
yeah. I'd heard
Um,
that. I heard that a lot of the emails went out. Those early invites for that special edition
yeah,
of the Chromebook went out after they had it completely sold out. So there was a lot of people that got this email invite to go in and order one of these special
and it was
Chromebooks,
sold
but
out.
wasn't able to because it sold out so fast.
Yeah, as soon as the email, and maybe it's because I'm ABC, and I think
Hmm.
they sent it alphabetically, and
Yeah,
Angelo didn't get his invite for like an hour later, but I sent him the link to all you had to have was your email address that you'd used on the invite, and
mm,
he was able to get in and get one. So, but they said you have to use this address when you're ordering or you'll be rejected. So, um,
and
I,
Todd, they even sent me an invite of all
oh, good.
things.
Did you buy one?
No, I didn't.
No. Is that,
I've got enough PCs around here to manage. I don't need another one.
yeah, the only thing I'm trying to figure is how I'm going to get it into the TriCaster. So I've got to buy it's got a mini VGA output. So I can go mini VGA to a VGA to SDI converter and then into the TriCaster. And I got to get something that scales well because it's got a weird 1280 by 800 or something screen resolution. So I got to find a device that's, as I said, a Matrox makes a pretty good scaler. So I'll probably buy that. Not cheap, but if the Chrome show's got to be a success, we got to be able to bring it up on the live view here on the TriCaster. So,
Mm.
but we're here at an hour 30, guys. So I think we should wrap things up. Andy, you got any by the ways, and how's RVNN going?
We just had a really exciting program to start this past week called RV Capital Talk. Company that had a magazine, RV Business, that has been in kind of the publication of record for the business side of the RV industry. Um, we have an agreement with them to where we're working together on this show each week, and that's a really exciting thing. The other thing that is just taking off like gangbusters is geocaching. Geocaching is using a handheld GPS to go out and search for hidden treasure, I guess you might say. Over 1.5 million geocaches throughout the world. It's a wonderful family activity, and it's outdoors, and so it's just a natural match to the RV audience. So we've got the Geocaching World Show and 11 others that are on the air and more in production. So we've got a lot of things going. Still having some encode difficulties, trying to get the mechanics of getting these things set up for the Roku, but that's just par for the course, and we're learning as we go along.
Hey, did you how? Yeah, I know you guys are starting to do live. How's the live working?
Live is great. It's really kind of a lot of fun because what we try and do is to do kind of just like what's going on each day, And then one section of raw content of stuff that we just shot, but hasn't been edited, and then one segment from a show that's been fully produced, just so people can kind of see what goes on. And a lot of it is, with the chat room open, we're able to bring people in. We did have a video chat client, which I think I mentioned there on the TPM list, that was really a lot of fun. The only problem was it broke all our feeds, and so that got uninstalled really fast. And they claim that they're going to be getting that fixed. But the whole idea is, as we were talking about earlier in the show here, is we're trying to discover what this new medium is. It's two-way TV, and we're trying to make that as interactive and two-way as possible. And so we keep experimenting, having fun as we go along. But live is really a different environment for sure.
Well, you get one take. That's it. And it makes you a better content creator. I've said that from the beginning. Rob, anything new going on with you, or just same old, same old?
No, I think the big thing is the upgrade, the podcasts in Mango coming in the fall, and the Zune Insider podcast is still cranking away, and then if you want to get podcasts on the web, Zune has a online area, ZunePodcast.com. Thank you, Todd.
Yep. We got to work on getting that transferred to you at some point too. So why don't you get your technical guys talking to me?
All right, cool. But that's about it. I can be reached on Twitter at Rob Greenlee. So if you want to follow me there, that's cool as well.
And
on
Andy,
Facebook as well.
And Andy, you're SDR News, but what is your RVNN one?
RVNN, just AM, Alpha Mike at rvnn.tv.
Oh, good. Outstanding. Well, guys in the audience, thanks for hanging out here with us. We appreciate it. If you got comments on today's show, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com. Of course, you can call us if you want on the hotline at 619-342-7365. But thanks, guys, for hanging out with me. And what I've got to do today, even though it's my birthday, I've got 2 final exams to take. And once I take my final exams, I am finished. I'm done with college.
Wow.
This is the last hurrah. And I walk on June 18th, so I'm pretty happy about that. But I do know one thing. I just figured out my scores for all the stuff I've taken in this class. I can fail the final exam and still get a C, so I'm good to go. So,
Is that what you're trying to say?
so you can almost guess how long I'm going to spend on this 5-hour test. I have a feeling it's not going to be a great score, but knowing me though,
what do you do with all your extra time after you're graduated?
my life, I'm going to have I haven't been able to enjoy Hawaii in about 9 months, so I'm going to start enjoying Hawaii again a little bit, going to the beach and have more family time. But it's funny, because my wife is, I've got 7 years left on my GI Bill, and my wife said to me, she said, when are you going to start your master's degree? And I'm like,
Oh, no.
I looked at her like, I got 7 more years, honey. Let me have a few years off. And but she's giving me this eye. I'm like, oh, man, no, because it's that's 2 years of hard work. So yeah, I think I'm gonna wait a little while. But that's here and there. But everyone else, thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you next week here. Actually, I don't know if there'll be a show next Saturday or not. Yeah, I think there will. I'll be able to do one next Saturday because I start travel Saturday night. But everyone, thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time here on the Saturday Morning Tech Show.
Bye.